In this video, we're going to talk about Iterator Helpers, which are a new feature in ECMAScript 2025. They are supported in all major browsers, Node, Bun, Dino, the whole 9 yards. I've got a quick little setup here where I clear the console. I've got some filters just to save me some typing. I've got this little time function and two ginormous arrays. So just to explain the time function, I can say time, pass in a function, and just say 10 times 2. And it tells me how long it took. You can see that there in the terminal. It took, I don't know, way less than a millisecond. And if I want to log out the results, I get that back too. So there's our 20. Okay, so that out of the way. Iterator helpers function on what's called a proper iterator. To be a proper iterator, a function or a constructor, a class, whatever, has to implement the next method. We are going to be working with arrays, because I imagine most people are. So first things first, let's look at how to convert an array to a proper iterator. Const b equals, we've got this array of letters. We just tack on values. And now we have a proper iterator. And I can show that by saying b.next. And we can see we got our value of a and done false. Do that a few more times and we got ABC. Okay, let's start with a simple example. We're going to use our time function here. We're going to pass in our numbers array. We're going to filter that by the odd values. And then we'll map that. We'll say n times 10. Okay, that took 14 milliseconds. Let's try it with an iterator. And again, to do that, we just need to say dot values on that guy. We'll get the exact same function, and I'll log both of these out. There we go. So you can see 10, 30, 50, 70, 10, 30, 50, 70, but we're getting very different times. Let me put these back just to get the times. So we've got 14 milliseconds versus way less than 1. So what's happening here? Why is it so fast? So there's a few things at play. And the big one is where we're working with a regular array, the filter and the map are both iterating over the entire array and creating new arrays. This guy, even though it looks like it, this filter is not the same as the other filter. This one is not creating a new array. Now, there is one more thing I want to point out. Here in my time function, if it's an array, I return the array. If it has a toArray method, which is how we get an iterator back into an array, we call that toArray method. Otherwise, we just return the value, which is what we did here. This toArray method does incur some processing time. I'm leaving that out of the time that we're transforming our data, but I want to be clear, this does incur some processing time. However, we just, transformed these chunks of data, and the results speak for themselves, 14 versus 0. All right, let's try another one. And in this one, I can kind of show you a bit more, I think. So we're going to say our time function, and we're gonna do the same thing. So let me just grab this guy. And then this one, we're going to slice and get the first 5. So I logged that out. It took a little over 6.5. So we're going to do the exact same thing here, except we're going to say values. And we're not going to say slice. We're going to say take 5. Okay, so we got, again, almost 7 seconds and less than a millisecond. Sorry, almost 7 milliseconds and less than a millisecond. So what's happening? So I've got a version of this odd filter up here that will actually log out the n that is passed in. So I'm going to update that here. And I think we know what's going to happen. Let me just comment this guy out. And we're going to see it's going through every single number in the 100,000 length array. So let's try that over here. And I'm going to console log this one out. And we're going to update this to odd log. And let's see the difference. So there we go. That console log shows us that it actually interrupted the iteration. It cut it short as soon as we got to that take 5. So we wanted the first 5 odd numbers. It had to go 0 to 9 to get them, and then it stopped that iteration, and that saves a whole bunch of time. Okay, we'll do one more kind of in that vein. We're going to say, we're going to slice it first. So rather than the take 5, we're dropping the first 5. That's what we're doing with this slice. And we'll just map that. So n times 10. All right, almost 6.5 milliseconds. Now on this one, we're going to say values. And then instead of slice, we're going to say drop. Exact same thing. I promise you it's the exact same results, but it took a fraction of the time. Okay, so let's do one that's a little more complicated. We are going to, I'm going to assign this one to a variable here, and we're going to use our time. I'm going to pass in a function. What we're going to return is a concatenation. We're going to say our letters.map. So we have a letters array here that's also 100,000 characters long. Don't ask me what happens after the first 30 or so. So we're going to map that to, we'll just uppercase those guys. So x dot, and then we'll do our numbers, and we'll map those, and we'll just say times 2. Okay, so we're going to get our time from that, and let's log out the length to make sure we should have 200,000 items. Cool. So it took 53 milliseconds, almost 53.5 milliseconds, and we have 200,000 items. So now let's say E. Now iterators don't have a concatenate, so we're going to have to do this a little bit differently, but I can kind of build on what we already did here. So let me bring these down. I'm going to say const L equals that guy, const n equals that guy. Clean this up a little bit. And obviously we're going to convert these to iterators. So values and values. And now since we don't have, on an iterator, we do not have a concatenation method, what we're going to do is we're going to return a generator that acts as our concatenator. So we're just going to return, and this is going to be an immediate function. So there's our generator. And then we're just going to yield L and N. Console log e.length, and we'll see how long that took. And there you go. E's length is 200,000. The time taken, again, less than a millisecond. So here's some really interesting methods that are now available to you in both browser and Node that have significant, very significant performance implications.